each year thousands of comics gets released, but behind the scenes there are hundreds of comics that also get cancelled. So today I thought it would be really interesting to take a look back at the TMNT comics that were announced that also were cancelled. Now before we do get into this list, I do want to make it perfectly clear that this is not all the cancelled comics that were announced from TMNT, just because again, most of the TMNT comics that got cancelled probably never really got publicly announced, and no one knows anything about it except from the people who actually worked on it, who also probably forgot they even come up with the idea. So yeah. Okay, so the first one we're going to be looking at is the TMNT 2003 comics. Now in 2003 we had the TMNT 2003 TV show coming out, and of course with that we had to have a new comic series, and it was pretty decent for the most part. Now the first 4 issues really delved into the actual show and more or less just took the actual episodes and just reworked it, basically seeing the whole episodes from another character's point of view, and it was really interesting. Now issue 5, 6 and 7 were all completely new stories that were for the most part really good. Now at the end of issue number 7, we do get to see a little promotional bit for the next month's comic, which is going to be issue number 8, and well, to say the very least, that issue never really came out. Now the reason why this series was cancelled was because the company that was making the comics at the time, which was not Mirage surprisingly, but was actually Dreamwave. Now the company actually went out of business, and that meant that this series had to unfortunately stop. Now with the comics itself, there were a few that were sort of announced, and we do get a little bit of information about them, but other than that, they're sort of more or less just non-existent really. So for issue number 8, we do have quite a bit of information about this issue, and it is honestly a bit disappointing that we never got this issue. So the first thing which I feel like everyone really knows about this issue is the fact that it has a cover and it's really interesting, as we do get to see Donatello on it, as well as the new robot, as well as the enemy, which is going to be the T4800 or something. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's going to be an evil robot. Now after this series was ended, we do get to see a bit more information about this issue, and I'm really disappointed we didn't get this one because it would have been amazing. Now for some other information we did get to see about this issue was really interesting, because we do get to see a bit of the actual script, as well as some actual panels from the actual comic, which were amazing. Now the main story behind this would have been a robot that would have been working for Baxter Stockman, and basically the robot escaped, and then it saw Mikey go down to the sewers, so the robot has a fight with Mikey, takes some of Mikey's blood, and yeah, and there would have also been some really other interesting things like this whole series. I think people were at one point seeing the turtle robot and then stuff like that. It was really interesting and stuff like that, but other than that we don't really know all too much about this series or this issue, and it's a real shame we didn't get this one. And then also we do have some information about the 9th issue, and again there isn't really all too much I can really say about this one. There's no description for this one, it was only a cover, and we do get to see the turtle robot thing just fighting the turtles on the rooftop, and that was all we got for this whole issue, and yeah. Now overall with this story, I really do want to see this one come to light, as well as though that there is some potential here to tell a really interesting story. Okay, next up is the Casey and Raph Wild Dog story. Now this story would have been taking place in the IDW ongoing series, and this story would have been drawn by Ken Garren. Now Ken Garren did the artwork for issue 51, 52 and 124 on the IDW ongoing series, and he did mention that basically there was no miniseries at the time, and he wants to do a miniseries, but due to Nickelodeon and stuff like that, he wasn't able to do it. And he did speak about this a bit during an interview I did with him. I'll just play a clip here, and that's pretty much all the information we have about this story arc.
It might actually get developed. I had sent it to Bobby just as a pitch, during COVID. The whole industry shut down for a few months there, and I was thinking I should try to see if I could do something with Ninja Turtles, because that's, a consistent book. And so I put a pitch together for him, and he was, there was just no miniseries going on at the time. So I think that's why he circled around and just gave me the issue on the ongoing series. And there was also some concern because it involved dog fighting. I think maybe Nickelodeon doesn't like the idea of dog fighting, animal cruelty type thing. But the main point is just that I wanted to do a Raphael, Casey Jones team up. So there might be an opportunity. I've had some emails with people at IDW about possibly doing that later in the year. So we'll see, but nothing for sure.
Okay, next up is the Forever War. Now this story arc will have taken place in the Archie TMNT comic universe, and this whole story is something which I would like to delve into in the future video, because it is just so fascinating with the things that went down behind the scenes for this story arc. But I'll give you a little idea of what really went down in this story. It's really interesting. So one, the Archie comics were going a bit more darker, and the thing is that these comics were meant for kids at the time, but because they were going a more darker route, the person who was going to be creating the Forever War, he was unfortunately let go from the series, and that resulted in the last 2 issues of the TMNT Archie Adventure comics, which were okay I'd say, but not the absolute best. Now this Forever War would have been tying up quite a few little story arcs throughout this whole series, and would have dealt with the present Turtles, the future Turtles, fighting Shredder and stuff like that. And because this series was going in a more darker tone, and was actually somewhat considered to be more darker than the actual Mirage comics at the time, this series was unfortunately cancelled, and we never did get to see the TMNT Forever War. Now, over the years, the person who's going to be creating the Forever War comic has mentioned that basically, oh, IDW is going to be making it, he's going to be making it, and again, the thing is that overall, nothing's really come of it, but there has been things that come out about this whole Forever War stuff, and again, I feel as though that I would like to make a bit more better video about this whole topic because it is just so fascinating with the things that went down behind the scenes. Okay, next up is Volume 4, the TMNT Mirage comics. And this one is really interesting for a variety of different reasons. Now the thing is with this comic, this one came out in 2009, and also basically I would say is when Tails was dying off from the 2003 show as well as the 2007 movie, and this was when Peter Laird decided to sell his rights to Nickelodeon. But the thing is, Peter Laird still has the rights to release, I think it's about 18 comics a year, so he does still have some rights to actually make this comic. But when giving over the rights to Nickelodeon, the TMNT brand still more or less stopped everything they were doing at the time, and that resulted in so many things getting cancelled. And that unfortunately led to Volume 4, the TMNT Mirage comics, to unfortunately getting cancelled, with so many storylines being unfinished. But to make things even worse, in 2014, for a free comic book day, Peter Laird decided to release issue number 32, and it absolutely destroyed everything because it left it on the biggest cliffhanger ever, revealing that the Splinter that died in issue number 10 was a fake. So there are so many different storylines they need to finish, and yet I got a feeling they probably won't. And this is really shocking for Peter Laird to do something like this, just because, I mean, I don't know, I just feel as though there's so many things that need to be wrapped up, and yet he probably won't. But Peter Laird has sort of come out a few months ago saying that basically he is sort of willing to go back to finishing off Volume 4, and he just needs to get in touch with Jim Lawson to see if he wants to do it. So there is all some sort of hope there. Not to mention IDW has been re-releasing some Mirage comics, so who knows. There is still a potential future for Volume 4 to be completed, but at the same time we don't really know how it's going to be completed or if it will be completed. But you know, there's so many things about this thing, it's just so annoying that they left it on the biggest cliffhanger ever. Okay, the next and final one for this video is the TMNT and He-Man crossover. So a few years ago on Instagram, Freddie Williams II released a few images of the cancelled TMNT and He-Man crossover. Now Freddie Williams II also did the artwork on TMNT and Batman Volume 1, 2 and 3, and then he went on to go and do some other amazing things, and still does TMNT comics today, and they are still amazing. Now when Freddie Williams II did release these images, he did give some little information about this crossover, and it was really interesting. Now the information he gave about this crossover is really interesting, just because he said that basically this crossover was more or less like attempted twice, but then it all went really nowhere, and more or less the project's gone quiet, and he doesn't really think that's going to happen anytime soon. And again, that's all really disappointing because the artwork here and the potential it has is really great. Now in these images we do get to see the Turtles and He-Man characters are more or less combined together to basically create an amalgamation of characters, and they look really interesting. In one image we do get to see Leonardo in the He-Man outfit holding the Sword of Grayskull, really interesting, and I do think that there was like a lot of potential here with this story, but unfortunately we didn't get it and it's a real shame. So yeah, that's all the TMNT comics that have been publicly announced so far that have been cancelled. I'm pretty sure there's still probably quite a few other TMNT comics that I probably haven't mentioned, but these are the well-known ones, and I do feel as though that there are probably so many other ones that have been more or less hidden from the public eye, and again that's a real shame, because I feel as though that there are so many great stories they can tell, and I feel as though that maybe they're hiding quite a few good ones. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below which cancelled comic you wanted to see. I got a fear a lot of people are going to say that they want the He-Man crossover. I think for me, I probably would want the TMNT Trust and Free comics, just because I feel as though that the stories that we were told were being really amazing. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today guys. If you just want, please share, like, subscribe and all that stuff. Goodbye, yo, bye.